At QIC Assess, we believe pipeline integrity should serve the people who live with the consequences of failure, the field operations teams, the troubleshooters, the ones doing the work. That's why our assessments start with what you already know. We don't ignore real-world patterns just because they don't show up on a dashboard. Instead, we model internal corrosion using actual operating conditions, fluid flow simulation, and field-defined contaminant risks, because prevention doesn't happen by accident. QIC Assess is more than an algorithm. It's a way of thinking. And every CMP-IC, our Corrosion Management Plan for internal corrosion, is built to help you take action before failure occurs. Because the real-world knowledge that lives in the heads of field operators, foremen, chemical representatives, and pigging contractors often holds the missing piece, the unseen factor that makes the difference between low risk and failure. That's why every QIC Assess hazard profile begins with user-defined input parameters, not just automated data scraping or cookie-cutter assumptions. These are qualitative and semi-quantitative indicators rooted in field experience that speak directly to the operational realities of each pipeline. These aren't just checkboxes. They are red flags. They are diagnostic signals. And depending on the pipeline type, wet gas gathering versus transmission, crude versus NGL versus liquid products, they tell a very specific story. Let's walk through 5 of the most telling ones. Oxygen ingress, when oxygen makes its way into the system, often through valve maintenance, compressor leaks, or air-laden slugs from upstream tankage or truck-in deliveries. Even trace amounts can convert benign corrosion into aggressive oxygen pitting and accelerate under-deposit corrosion. In QIC Assess, a yes or uncertain input for oxygen ingress immediately elevates hazard severity and modifies the corrosion mechanism profile. Mitigation shifts toward oxygen control, optimized inhibitor film integrity, and potentially increased pigging. MIC risk microbiologically influenced corrosion is driven by biofilms formed by bacteria like SRB and APB in stagnant water or solids beds. It's often invisible until it's too late. When flagged in QIC Assess, MIC becomes a risk multiplier. We shift mechanisms to microbial pitting, elevate the priority of dead lake segments, and introduce biocide programs and solids disruption pigging into the CMP-IC. Debris when pigging. If you're seeing thick sludge, black tarry deposits, or biomass clumps on the pig, it's not just a cleanup issue. It's a corrosion signal. Especially after well restarts, tank drawdowns, or process upsets, this debris points to under-deposit corrosion in progress. QIC Assess reads this as a live indicator of upstream hazard ingress. The mitigation response: higher pigging frequency, post-restart inhibition, and fluid quality monitoring. Methanol over-injection in wet gas systems. Methanol is critical for hydrate suppression. But when overused, it becomes a top-of-line corrosion trigger. Excess methanol can condense on cool pipe walls, dilute inhibitors, and fuel microbial growth. QIC Assess reacts by flagging elevation-sensitive zones for TOLC risk, recommending thermal condensation modeling, and rebalancing injection volumes. Often, we guide the operator toward dew point suppression instead of chemical overcompensation. Intermittent flow, one of the most destabilizing patterns in pipeline operations. In crude, NGL, and liquid pipelines, flow stoppages allow phase separation, sludge settling, and corrosion acceleration. In gas pipelines with plunger-lifted wells, flow surges followed by idle periods push and trap corrosive liquids in low points. In the QIC Assess model, this input reshapes flow simulation logic. We account for startup spikes, drain-down risk, and stagnation damage. CMP-IC recommendations often include inhibitor slugging aligned to restart cycles, post-shutdown pigging, and aggressive liquid management. These qualitative flags help QIC Assess determine the environmental severity class for each pipeline. But the assessment doesn't stop there. We also gather actual CO2 and H2S mole fractions in the gas, free water content in the feed in stock barrels per MMSCF, pigging frequency per year, methanol injection volumes, gallons a day, and indicators for truck-in production or upstream tankage presence. Every parameter feeds the hazard algorithm. Every value adjusts the corrosion model. And every pattern helps us shape a risk-optimized corrosion management plan, CMP-IC, that is not only defensible, but field-ready. So what does this mean for field operations teams? It means that your input isn't an afterthought, it's the starting point. Your observations about picking debris, flow behavior, methanol use, or MIC evidence have real weight in shaping the mitigation strategy. It means the CMP-IC isn't generic. It's tailored. It responds to what you already see in the field. And most of all, it means that with QIC Assess, you're no longer reacting to corrosion that's already happened. You're positioned to prevent it. That's the QIC Assess difference. That's how we build integrity programs that actually work. If this case feels familiar, it's because it is. Internal corrosion doesn't wait for the obvious signs. At TPA QIC Assess, we model risk and position field ops to take action to avoid failures. Visit our TPA website to learn more about QIC Assess CMP-IC projects, trustedpipelineadvisor.com, or reach out to explore how a quantitative internal corrosion assessment and CMP-IC can elevate your mitigation program. The investment? Just $1,500 per project to get insights never previously possible. Let's make integrity planning a proactive advantage, not a reactive expense.